here with great gratitude. Humbled, honored, and blessed to hold the space. Grateful for the gift of modern technology that I can be in my living room and be out there with you as well. So taking the next couple of minutes just to become grounded in your body in this precious present moment. Establishing yourself a seated position that's comfortable, sitting on a bolster or a cushion, or you can sit on a block or a couple of blankets. Sit, if you need to, in a chair. But sit nice and tall. Sit in such a way that you can feel your sits bones grounding and rooting into the earth. With each exhalation, surrendering to the support of your cushion, of your block, of your blankets, and being supported by the earth. And with each inhalation, lengthening up towards the heavens with the crown of the head. And opening up the front of your body, opening up the heart, at the same time dropping back into your back body, everything you've done to get to this point. The big strong bones of the shoulder blades will hold you up. The occipital bone, the triangular bone at the base of the skull. Your sacrum, the triangular bone at the base of your spine. And your arms at your side, supporting you like two little kickstands, kind of pressing into your knees to invite the legs to release down to the earth and to invite the shoulders to move back and shoulder blades slightly together and down. Stabilizing your physical body in this way. So a sense of balance, finding a sense of balance in your body. Grounding down into the earth, lengthening up to the heavens, relaxing back into your back body with an open heart and open front body. Right side, left side balance. Notice if your shoulder collapses on one side or if it's forward on the other. Just inviting a sense of balance. Right side, left side. Front and back. Down into the earth and up into the heavens. And then having established stability in your body, see if you can find your breath. See if you can tune into your breath and the sound of the breath. Breathing in through the nose if possible. And exhaling out a couple times with a nice sigh. Again, with each exhalation, landing more and more into this precious present moment. Mindful of what's your environment around you, physically. You can hear ambient sounds around your house or your room or outside your window. Noticing the temperature of the room. aware of your clothing and how it drapes on your body and how that moves and shifts with your breath, or when you make physical movements with your body. Noticing your waistband and how that changes in pressure when you breathe in and the belly expands, and you breathe out, the belly draws back. So attention to body and breath. As soon as you start to calm down the body and attempt to calm down the mind, you might notice the mind's very active and busy, coming up with all kinds of thoughts, a range of thoughts, worries, concerns, lists, plans, doubt, confusion, restlessness, sloth, torpor. And just recognizing and honoring that you even have thoughts, but come back to the attention, paying attention to the body and to the breath. The body, when you breathe in, the belly expands, pressing into your waistband. The heart lifts, the chest lifts. And when you breathe out, the chest falls, the navel draws back, away from the waistband and slightly up. So for the next minute, just being aware of the breath. In the body. And for the next minute, being aware of the body and the breath, count your breaths. Starting now. Smooth, even breaths. One minute. If you were able to stay with the breaths and count them, just notice for yourself what that 1 minute. So for me, a smooth, calm breath in that minute, having settled my body and settled my breath with 7 breaths. And that's pretty standard for me in this when I have a calm breath going and a calm body. So I use that when I know that I have 5 minutes that I need to do something, or you're waiting at a stoplight or something like that, or you can tell yourself 7 breaths, 1 minute. I can do this. Sometimes even in my yoga practice, when we hold the poses sometimes my teacher will say, 2 minutes and something, I go, okay, I can do this, 14 breaths. And then instead of being worried about anything, instead of letting my mind wander, I just begin to count the breaths. And sure enough, that 2 minutes goes by, and it's usually sometimes more, sometimes less, about 14 breaths. And that's how I get by a lot. So experiment with this for yourself. And like I always say, don't believe a word I say, try it out for yourself. But as soon as you become aware of your breath, and you're aware of your body and your mind immediately join together. So at other times, so we have our body, mind, and our spirit. I use 3 blocks. One of them's bigger than the other. And when we're not in line, so this is our alignment when our body and our mind and our spirit are integrated. But oftentimes, our mind is off somewhere else, and there goes that stability. And oftentimes our body is off somewhere else, and there goes our stability. Spirit is always here, and the spirit loves that alignment of the mind and the body. And every time you are aware of your breath, it immediately aligns your body and your spirit. And then nothing can knock you down. Nothing can throw you off. So again, this is my little block experiment, and it's like my minute experiment with your breath. Try it for yourself. See what happens. Mindful moment. So we'll begin some mindful movement. What makes it mindful movement is just being aware. Being aware of the breath, being aware of different parts of the body. I'll bring attention to tips of the fingers, tips of the shoulder blades, tips of the toes, crown of the head perhaps, different things at different times. Bring your attention to these areas. Send your awareness to those areas, and you raise your consciousness. And you'll bring consciousness to every part of your body. So if you just become aware at this moment of the bottom tips of your shoulder blades and move them towards each other, and in that movement you'll spread the spine of your shoulders and then open up the clavicle, the front of your body. So one awareness of the bottom tips of the shoulder blades moving towards each other will take the shoulders back, shoulder blades down, and open up the heart chest. And then you can kind of drop the weight into your back body, into the triceps, elbows, back of the hands, back of the head. Take a couple of breaths here, almost to the point where you're going to fall over. Notice how that feels. Mindful movement. And you've just brought consciousness to your back body, which tends to be very unaware. Be aware of your sacrum. And when you roll over your sits bones, going back and forth on your sits bones, your sacrum will tip back and forth, and back and forth. And when we tip back, then we close up the belly, and we close up the chest, and the breath has nowhere to go. And we're compressing all of our intestinal organs, pushing into our adrenals and our kidneys. All those glands just get compressed and squished. Sitting up tall again. And then sometimes we have this hyperextension, that sort of like come and get me action. And that's compressing our back, again, pressing into the adrenals and pushing out corticosteroids and all these stress hormones and it also impedes the breath. So as much as possible, you want to levelize. And so that your sacrum, where your sacrum is, can help you with that position, and your sits bones. Being on the center of your sits bones, waist back, navel back, and your sacrum is level. It's not pushed back, and it's not pushed forward. And then from there, the trunk of the body can be level, and the diaphragm and the pelvis level, and so that all of the different parts of the lungs can be accessed, and the breath will allow to be able to be flow freely, and so that when you breathe in, the diaphragm slightly presses down and gives a nice little massage to all of your abdominal organs. And then when you breathe out, the diaphragm will kind of lift up again. So you want to have a sense that the bowl of the pelvis, round of the bowl of the pelvis and the round of the diaphragm, front and back, where it attaches, is level. So again, all of the organs can have their space where they need to be. They're not compressed. The breath can be compressed, or the breath can be free. And the nervous system is calmer. So bringing consciousness to the back body as well as the front body. And when we go out into the world, we can be more conscious. We can be more aware. And therein, we can be more compassionate. We can be more kindly loving. We can be more joyous. And have more equanimity. Equanimity. Elusive. Happy for other people's happiness. Seeing the whole picture. And having contentment. Even if we know there's inequalities and we're not suffering because somebody else is happy and we wish that we had that happiness. Equanimity and compassion. It's like empathy. We see that other people are suffering, and that there's a part of us that it's not that we suffer with them. We don't have to suffer with them. It's just that we can see, and we have this empathy towards them, and we know that somewhere people are acting the way that they are because they have been hurt themselves. Compassion. Loving kindness. Loving kindness for ourselves. It's one of the reasons why we do this yoga practice, is so we can love and be kind to ourselves. And that loving kindness for other people goes a long way. We all know what it feels like when somebody is kind. And joy. With every breath, it's a gift, and therein is joy, gratitude. So all of these they're the four qualities that we all have when we let go of wanting things to be different, and attachment to the way things are. Consciousness. Bringing consciousness to our back body, to our front body, to every part of the body. And we bring that consciousness just by becoming aware of it. And our body is the best thing that we can have to practice mindfulness and awareness, because where could it go? We all have a body. So yoga is about awareness, and the asana practice is awareness, beginning with the body. And then we move the body through all these ranges of motions, and twisting and turning, and taking our joints front and back and side to side, and twisting and turning, and then we twist and turn, and we wring out all of our organs and our glands, and we bring in fresh blood and fresh prana. And we build balance, and we build strength. And so then we go out into the world, you can be happier. You can be more, potentially more content. You might go, oh, I've got a shoulder that's bad. You say, it's not a bad shoulder. It's your guru. It's what makes you pay attention. So we'll begin with a couple of sun breaths. And we'll be practicing together the next time I ring the bell. We'll be... I take a deep listening. The bell always just brings me back to the present moment. So the next time I ring the bell, it will be 4:30 our time, Minneapolis time. And so we'll go through some movements, some mindful movements from until that time. And I will give you about 8 minutes or so on your back in relaxation. So hopefully you can stay for that. Hopefully you can carve some time for yourself to do some of this movement. Start now, start here. Give yourself even 5 minutes. And then maybe you'll say, oh, I can stay for longer. And maybe after 15 minutes you can say, oh, I might as well stay for another 20 minutes. Do the best you can. Be here now. But if you can stay all the way through relaxation, it's the relaxation is actually one of the most important poses. And Shavasana is corpse pose. And corpse pose is not moving. The only thing that is moving is the breath. And if we can calm down enough and have our nervous system calm down enough after doing all these movements, and it takes a couple of minutes, you'll notice that the only time the body isn't moving is in between the breaths. And so much calmness and clarity comes in those moments. So bringing the hands to the heart. If you're seated on a chair, you can do these movements too. If you're seated on the floor, take a couple of blankets for some height if you can. Find a place, find a position for your legs, cross-legged or sitting on your heels or sitting through your heels. I'll take that position. I'm going to sit through my heels. So Vajrasana, Virasana. And you might need a block to sit on. And then push the flesh away from your calves and sit back between your heels. And then lean from side to side, excavate your toes so your toes are flat. I don't need that much height. When I first started, we used to talk about sit on a phone book and every day rip out a page. And then by that time, you might be able to sit all the way through without straining your knees or your ankles. So this is a really nice position for helping your arches and your ankles and your knees, and it's a very level place for your pelvis. So if you have any old phone books around, sit on a phone book. So phone books used to be even wider than this. So we'll take a couple of sun breaths, taking your hands to the heart. Inhale, exhale, fingers down to the earth, and inhale, sweeping the arms up over the head. So movement with breath. Let go of judgment. Inhale, exhale, palms down the earth. Spin those palms, stretch through the fingers, stretch through the spaces between the fingers. Looking up, exhaling the hands back down to the heart. Inhale, lengthen, Drop the waist back and the navel back so that sacrum becomes level again. Diaphragm, like in the bowl of the pelvis, like a basketball. So when you lift up your arms, you usually push the ribs forward. And like we talked about, you want to levelize. Exhale down. So every time you bring the arms up over the head, you've got to adjust. My teacher's teacher used to say, "You people, you never adjust." And we laugh about that because you learn to adjust. Inhale, exhale, palms down to the earth, waist back, navel back. And then inhaling the arms all the way up. Try not to even disturb the trunk of the body, and then you have to adjust less. Exhale down. 2 more times. Shoulders back, waist back, navel back. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, sweeping the arms. Edge the beautiful sun with your fingertips. Take a moment here. Maybe your hands can come into the steeple position. Maybe they're way out here. It depends on the shape of your shoulders. Pull, even as you reach up through the fingers, spaces between the fingers, wrists are level. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. Suck the head of the humerus back into its socket. And then lengthen up through the side body. Nice long neck. Look up if it's comfortable. When you look up, press the arms a little bit forward to help to cradle the neck or the head. And exhaling the hands down. And we'll take a little twist. Right arm comes behind. So some of these movements, some of you have been practicing with me for, I don't even know now. It's got to be at least a month and a half, maybe longer. So some of these instructions become hopefully more repetitious for you, and you actually have heard them enough times. And then you can even go more subtle. So you'll hear my voice and your body might have already done it. And so then you can just go to feeling. If you're not familiar, your right arm comes behind, so the shoulders come back, your waist turns, and your chest turns, and your shoulders turn the most. Levelize the brain over the bowl of the pelvis. When you breathe in, you lengthen. When you breathe out, you could twist maybe a little deeper. And then lengthen, inhale again, exhale, breathe, receive. Gentle twist, opening up the armpit chest. The lungs come way up to the armpit chest. See if you can bring the breath all the way up there. And then inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist, go around to the other side, back to center again for a moment. Levelize everything again. And then the left hand comes to the right knee, right hand comes to the left knee, left hand comes behind. Left hand behind. First receive the initial twist. And then you can increase the twist a little bit. When you breathe in, lengthen. And when you breathe out, twist a little bit deeper. Your left arm draws the shoulder around and the shoulder blades move into the back. Shoulders are level. Inhaling, exhaling, twist a little deeper. And then inhaling, coming back to center a little over to the other side. So if you've been in this Virasana position and you've been able to stay there for a while, that's good because you've got healthy arches. And then so to come out of it, you're going to press through the shins. So our ankle joints get very frozen. So if you stay in this position a little bit every day, you can unhinge. It's like oiling those hinges of your ankles, and they can become more pliable. And then so that will build its way all the way up to having a more healthy back, and then we can have more of a healthy outlook into life. So pressing into the shins, inhale to come up, and we'll come into the table position. I'll back up a little. You don't even have to have a yoga mat, but a yoga mat is nice because sometimes I just roll my yoga mat out and then I might step over it for like who knows how long. And I keep looking at it and finally I might come to it and go, okay, yes, I will just do. And so then I start in that seated position. Maybe do the arms up, maybe do a twist. Or I come into the table position and I just do a few movements. Pressing back with my heel. Pressing in to the ground. Taking the shoulders back. So bearing weight. When you start to bear weight with your bones, then you build calcium. You actually keep calcium in the bones. So stretching back, feel your shoulder blades. So don't sink your belly, don't sink your chest. Let's see. I'll move you back a little bit. Da-na-na-na. Okay, maybe that's a little better. Look at the eye of your arm. So as you press back, the eye of the arm, you want to, so your upper arm rolls from the inside out and your lower arm, forearm rolls from the elbows down to the thumb, rolls inward. And when you start to bear weight, you want to maintain that so that you're not disturbing your arms. As you start to lift up, you come into the plank pose. So from your knees, look at your arms. Almost, so with your hands, you almost want to, without disturbing the bones of your arm, roll like you're opening a jar. Both hands. Have your index finger in line with your radius bone. The radius bone is the one that twists. And turn that and have your index finger be in line with your radius bone all the way up even into your armpit. And then take the plank pose. So from your knees, press into your hands and then lift the hips. Press back through the heels. Look up. Squeeze the muscles of your legs. Squeeze the muscles towards the bone in your legs. Lift the belly. Look up. Take the shoulders back. And then Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take the hips back. Come way up onto your toes. Sometimes I lift my fingers so I know my index or the balls of my hands are on the floor. But the weight is very light on my fingertips. Come way up onto the toes. Bend the knees. Turn the knees out and then straighten the knees by rolling the thighs in. And then press back. And again. So you want to bend the knees out. And then to straighten the legs, take the inner thighs back, 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 back. The heels may or may not go to the floor. Probably not. And then look up. Take the inner thighs back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. Maybe that's your first downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Maybe, probably, for me, at least it was my first Adho Mukha Svanasana for today, which is different than yesterday, and it will be different than tomorrow. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take your feet wide. Press back. Come down onto your knees. child's pose. Just for a breath or two. When you feel ready, coming back up to the table position. This time, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog with the feet together. Feet closer up together anyway. Press back. You can bend the knees, straighten the knees by lengthening the inner thighs back. And then bring the weight onto your left leg and then extend up for your right leg. Really lift the leg from the inside and the outside. And then place it back down, press back, plant your right leg, and make the heel really long to extend that leg out. Keep the hips level. Look at your arms, see that they're not spinning. Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. And then go ahead and come down. You can take child's pose again if you like, or just take the hips back and you can come onto your elbows. Rest. Receive from this strengthening position. Really nice for your immune system. When we stretch out our arms like that, it gets the lymph nodes. It's a flush for the lymph nodes, and our lymph needs a pump. There is no pump for the lymph, and the lymph needs to move, and that's one of the reasons why yoga is so wonderful. It's also a good reason to get massage and to be physically active. So every time you open up the arms or take a little twist or take this downward facing dog, you're increasing your immune system. So let's take now some little baby, well, I don't know, I don't want to call them babies. We'll just call them like little mini yoga push-ups. So what you want to do is keep your elbows close to your body, and the elbows moving back and the shoulder blades moving down. So we take the table position, and then with the hips back, take the hips back, and then send your heart through. And we're going to take this about 10 times. And do as many as you can. And so don't think about going down, think about going out. Elbows. So project yourself forward with your toes, with your feet. Inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, keep the elbows in. Lead with the heart. So your heart should come through about a whole foot away from your fingertips. And then roll the shoulders back to press up. Exhale down, inhale up. 4, 5. Know where your toes are, especially the pinky toe. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Elbows back and in. And again, you can take the pose of the child with the knees wide. Come down onto your elbows. Earth, come all the way through. If your heart will go down to the earth without closing up your throat or rounding the back. So you might just stay in this position. And receive. And when you feel ready, come back up into Vajrasana, where you're seated on your heels. Waist back, navel back. And notice where you feel that strengthening, mindful movement. Probably maybe in your biceps. Maybe you feel the shoulders. Let go of judgment. It is what it is. Celebrate the fact that you've been able to get this far. And then come back into the table position when you feel ready. You get your breath back and swing your right leg forward. So from behind, take hold of the back of your thigh and swing that right leg forward. And then come up onto the fingers. If you have, this is where a yoga chair sometimes is nice. Or a tabletop. Or yoga blocks. Love my yoga blocks. I use them every day. Not just for yoga. Right leg forward, pull the right hip back. Take this lunge position. Be on the top, not so much on the top of the middle of your kneecap, but the very top of your kneecap, if you can. And pull the right hip back. Your knee can come forward away from your toes, and then drop the hips back. Keep the waist long, and then touch and go a few times. A few more. 2, 3. Keeping the shoulders back. So that's why you want to have some height maybe. Or a chair. But if you can be down on the ground and keep the shoulders back, that's great. Straighten that back leg. Straighten that back leg. Press back through the heels and then open up. Fingertips up to the heavens, looking to make sure my arm doesn't spin out on the left arm, and turn. And then you can straighten that leg if you can, and then come up and turn, come onto the back of your, turn your foot so your heel comes in and you're on your whole foot, and then open up into a triangle, Trikonasana. Maybe you're way up here. A nice open pose, stability, angles. Feel your front and back body. Feel your right side and your left side. Know where your brain is. And then rolling back to the floor, bend your knees and come down. Take a breath here in this lunge position. Feel your shoulder blades, and then switch sides. So you can come onto your knee, take hold of the back of that leg, and then come into a lunge. Pull your left hip back now. Your knee comes forward, but your hip comes back, opening up the groins. So a nice stretch to the top of the left thigh. And then you're getting circulation in your hips. Breathing. Again, on your right knee down. Be on the very top of as much as you can, the top of the kneecap, not the kneecap itself, if possible. So you have less weight on that very sensitive bone. Touch and go. Again, if you have your chair, that's great. If you have a end table that's not going to move, that's great. If you have blocks, straighten, stretch. Press into your back toes. Do you know where your pinky toe is? Bring your attention to that pinky toe. Bring your attention to your shoulder blades. Straighten that back leg. Press back through the heel. Open up to the bent leg side. Shoulders back. Head back. Twisting like a seated twist. Belly turns a little, chest turns more, shoulders turn the most. And then long extension to come back with your left hand, and then come onto your whole right foot, toes turned in, beyond the heel and the toe, and then open up into triangle. Maybe you're way up here. Take your left hand and roll your thigh out extending in every direction. And strongly pressing into that back leg, let yourself roll forward, come out of the pose. Be aware of that back leg. Turn the back leg in, come down, take your left foot back, and you can take either child's pose or Adho Mukha Svanasana. And any movements here that come organically and naturally, if you like to extend the leg and open it up, keep the hips level, take the foot back, or just take child's pose, extend, open, shoulders level. Child's pose is perfectly fine, and we'll all meet there. Coming down onto your knees, take the knees wide, take the hips back, come onto your forearms. Or take the chest all the way through. We'll finish up before we lie back down with a very important posture, Shirsasana, head balance. You may or may not get up, but you can start with a preparatory position and start to begin to bear weight on the head. Whew. It's the king of all yoga poses. So interlock your fingers, take the shoulders back. Interlock the fingers, have the wrists be upright, not flattening. Take the shoulders back and then plant the head. Maybe the head comes down, but take the shoulders back. The hands, be aware of where your hands are and your shoulder blades. And then you can come up into the downward dog. Weight there. Make sure your shoulders are not sinking. Make sure that your wrists aren't collapsing out. Your upper wrist should be right on top of the lower wrist. Shoulders back, not crunching, and then maybe you can lift one leg. And maybe you can lift the other leg without disturbing. So, do not do this pose if you have something in front of you that you're going to roll over on by accident and crash into. Take the posture at the wall. Or just lift a foot and maybe the other foot. But I'm telling you to don't go all the way up unless you're prepared to tuck and roll. You can just extend one leg and the other. Come down and rest as you need in child's pose, and then make your way onto your back. And we'll do the finishing posture. So child's pose to equalize, normalize, and then come onto your back for child's, for a knee down, both knees down twist. And then we'll go into relaxation. So on your back, take your knees to your chest. Roll your shoulders, come onto your whole shoulder blade and press into your arms to lift the heart. But your heart's not lifting up off the ground, just active arms. Keep the shoulders down and then let your knees roll over to the right side, catching them with your right hand, with your right arm. Or maybe your knees go all the way to the floor. Breath comes quicker, but make sure that you're breathing. This is where a block is nice, some blankets, So if your knees don't go all the way to the floor, keep your shoulders on the ground. And then help your knees back up. Maybe bring your feet down and shift the hips a little bit over to the left, and then take the knees over to the left side. I've got my blocks there, or I'm going to take it in your, if you don't have that, well, just land your legs into your arm, your left arm. Take about 5 breaths in the pose. Feel the shape of the pose. Roll your waist around to the right side. After about 5 breaths, help your knees come back up to center. Draw your knees and your head up to each other in a big hug and a squeeze. And then bring your foot to the ground, feet to the ground, knees together. Feet wide, knees together. And either stay here or straighten your legs, whichever more comfortable. Shavasana. Come home to your breath. Feel your back body supported by the earth. Consciously, with an awareness, breathing, trace your breath as it moves through your body, beginning, middle, and end of inhalation. Beginning, middle, and end of exhalation. Keep trying to stay with the breath. Soft eyes, relax your jaw, relax your cheeks. If your lips part, that's fine. I'll keep track of the time. It's 4:25. If you can stay for 5 minutes, awesome. Give that to yourself. Maybe exhale out with a sigh. And then see if you can come to a place of breathing where you're breathing in and out through your nose. Listen for the sound of your breath. Tip of the tongue touching barely the back of the teeth. And relax the tongue from the tip of the tongue all the way back into the root of the tongue, relaxing the throat. Seeing, noticing perhaps where you're holding, where you can let go. The face, the jaw, the hips, the shoulders. Shake it off. See where you can let go. A little more. See if you can, for the next couple of breath cycles, pay extra close attention to the time and space at the very end of the exhalation before you breathe back in. Extra close attention to the very end of the exhalation just before you breathe back in. And then you can even let that go. Not just bounding out and rushing, sitting up from Shavasana, but see if you can just perhaps even drop a little bit deeper, even for a breath or two or three. Remember, 1 minute in a calm state of breathing is usually about 7 to 10 breaths. But with each inhalation, then that's a little bit deeper, and each exhalation a little bit longer. Trace your awareness as it percolates out to your fingers and your toes once again. Wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe taking the arms up over the head, or if your knees are bent and your feet on the floor, maybe giving yourself a hug or stretching out through your legs and tapping your legs. And when you feel ready, bending your knees, roll to the side before pressing yourself up. So roll to the right side or roll to the left side. Use your bottom arm as a pillow, curling your heart towards your knees. Just being present, just feeling, being aware of the breath. Be aware of the spaces between the breaths and the spaces perhaps even between the thoughts. And when you feel ready, pressing yourself back up to a comfortable seated position. And take in these words from Rumi. So important for these days. It's like a core of my essence and my being, personally. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. If you like, you can bring your palms together in front of the heart. A gesture of honor and reverence and prayer. Balance. And of gratitude. I will end with my always ending prayer, which is a reminder that it is perfect. Everything, even in its imperfections, is still perfect. If you look at it with a sense of gratitude, equanimity, loving kindness, joy, and even in imperfections, there's perfection. So we are all perfect, aren't we? Om Purnamada Purnamadam Purnamadachite Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamavevavashishite Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. I dedicate the merit and the virtue gathered through this practice to the lasting happiness and well-being of all beings, so all beings may be free from suffering and the causes and conditions of suffering, and may all beings be happy with the causes of happiness. If you like, with bow, head to heart, honoring the spirit within you, I honor the spirit, I recognize the spirit in each and every one of you. Namaste. Such interesting times we live in. Thank your body and your mind and your spirit for joining together in this mindful movement practice. I thank you for taking the time out of your busy life, even to tune in for a minute perhaps, and hopefully something is intriguing to you. Hopefully you can participate in any way. Know that I'm here every day, almost every day at 3:30, and every evening at 8 o'clock for satsang meditation. We have a group of people that come together every night, and I give a guided meditation, and these are tools for prevailing in these times. We can prevail, and we have tools, and by sharing your energy in this way, it helps each and every one of us. It helps you, it helps me, it helps each other, even though you're not seeing each other face to face. And I know for me, it's It's the better part of my day is being here with you guys. So thank you so much, Rona, David. Good job. Chris, hey Chris, I was just talking about you today, how you're always there for me. I'm looking for Chris, and there she is right next door in the stall in the bathroom. When in the midst of 10,000 people together at a Grateful Dead show. I need Chris. Oh, there you are. And we've had some adventures, haven't we? I miss you. I love you. Always there with me. And Scott. Hello, my friend. Clark and Vince, if you're still there, thank you. Peace be with you. Move forward in your day with grace and calmly abiding. Namaste.